It's time for connection of the mind, body, and emotions. Welcome to a place where you can unplug, tune in, and create. It's time for Conjuring the Human Spirit with your hosts, Allison Parr-Plasha and Sean McGuire Meeks. You're invited. Let's begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Conjuring the Human Spirit. My name is Sean McGuire Meeks, and I'm sitting here with Allison Parr-Plasha, locked eyes like Hawkeye over there.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited that you've joined us.
Especially for this episode. I mean, if you read the topic and you're still here, don't complain about it.
That's right. No complaining here.
We're going to talk about complaining. What a topic.
It is a topic, and it's interesting. I don't know if you were trained kind of with the same idea of, with coaching, we give very little space, traditional coaching, for complaining. So to me, like I'll say to all my clients, like, it's important to name the complaint, but I'll give people very little space. I'll be like, okay, complain away for 2 minutes, but let's follow it up by solutions. And I think people can get, complaining can be a habit. And I have had, especially when I was kind of a beginning life coach, some people thought they could come in for a session and just complain the whole time. I'm like, no, that's not going to work here.
Yeah, can I back it up for a second too?
Go for it.
You can feel it, right? Like when even if you're talking to a friend out there and you pick up the phone and you call, and the first word out of their mouth is, and
wah,
you're like,
wah.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Yeah.
When someone intentionally wants to work on themselves and they've hired us to do that, to pick up the phone and call us, and we're starting off with, wah, wah, wah.
I love that character from Saturday Night Live. What's her name? She's hilarious.
idea.
Oh my God, she's so funny.
That's not the purpose for our call today. Our purpose for our call today is not for you to complain. Often, these stories about complaining are really ones that we know so well in our head. And they just something we repeat over and over. But when the phone rings and it's a client with a wah, 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 then like you said, it's okay, I hear the wah, 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 so that we can get to the juice and the good of what we're talking about. I'm going to set a timer with your permission. We're going to give you 2 minutes, and I want you to get out everything you have to say around what's on your mind so that we can get to propping you up for the reason you're here. Is that what you do?
Yes, but lately my mind has kind of shifted a little bit.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, one of them has to do with you, where
With me? Oh, no.
Sean and I, we meet every Tuesday morning at 10:30, and we had like this kind of funny moment where we're like, can we just use our time today just to complain? And we both were like in agreement.
Yeah, so Allison and I talk every Tuesday for 1 hour. And I was out for a walk, and she called this week, and I said something around my neck, and she said something around her cough, and I said something around my back, and she said something around her this, and I said something. Anyway, and then
we gave ourselves full permission.
Yeah.
And we had fun.
So we had the 1 hour complaining call.
And it was amazing.
It really was. It was so great. I didn't realize how many things I had on my mind and spirit that I really needed to unload. It wasn't trauma dumping by any means.
No.
But it really was, sometimes just to get to the heart of the human spirit, just to get down to it, we have to unload the things that are just piled up resonant before us.
Well, it shifted me because you're
talking about our time together.
Our time together really made me pause, because I think we even texted each other later that day, and you were like, I'm feeling so much better. I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling so much better too. And it got me to be like, well, maybe there's a time and a space, because I just noticed, like, with my daughter and son, but she is still living with us. He's in college, where I have that rule with her of name the complaint, but you got just a couple minutes, and then we're going to work on solutions. And she had a pretty significant moment not that long ago where she was a bit beside herself. And by the way, legitimately. And it came to me that I'm like, you know what? This poor sweet angel, she needed to vent and to complain, and she needed a long time and space for it.
And so you're saying you have set some parameters with her in the past around, listen, get it out. You can complain, but we're not going to sit and complain the whole time. You're going to complain, and then we're going to talk about how to fix it.
Yeah.
And so this is the rules by which she's living.
Yes.
With you.
Yeah.
And she had a lot on her mind this particular weekend.
Yeah, she really lost it. Like legitimately, by the way. And it made me pause because I'm like, she really needed that prior. I think like her meltdown, by the way, which I have. I mean, we all have, but I feel like in some ways it could have been prevented had I given her space just to complain or, your words, vent. And it just, again, made me pause. Like, there's a time and a place, and it's just kind of figuring that out. When does complaining serve? But I would never look at you, Sean, ever as somebody who chronically complains. If anything, you and I are always spinning things to the positive.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think that in and of itself can get a little dangerous. And then there are people who are chronic complainers, and it simply doesn't serve. And, I think recently.
So what do you mean by when you say it doesn't serve?
It doesn't serve, meaning it's just not putting us in the right direction. You know what I mean? I think over complaining can just lead to more disasters.
So how do then you decide between when it's okay for someone to just complain and then move to the solution, or complain for a long period of time?
Yeah, it's a tricky, sticky thing.
Well, some of the things I do around that is someone, when they're on the train, you can feel the train. Y'all know what I'm talking about out there. The train is leaving the station and they begin the complaining. And sometimes I just stop, I put my hand up gently and lovingly, and I say, I'm going to listen to what you have to say, but what do you need from me? You're going to say what you're going to say, but what do you need from me? And it's interesting because I don't always get the same answer. Sometimes it's, I just need you to listen to me. That's all. I just need you to listen. Or I want your opinion about this. Because we make up a story when the complaints start coming around what it is that they think we want, or what I think they want. Then I start offering my opinion, and they don't give a crap. They don't want my opinion.
Yeah.
They just needed someone to listen to them.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't have anyone to listen to them. I'm in a community that when I'm in a group of men and I'm walking through the community, I really take a time to listen. I have surgery on Tuesday. I just wrecked my car and hit a deer. I get a lot of the heavy because my heart spirit is open to hear it. I'm not going to be there, to your point, to continue on and on and on and on for the incessant complaining, but to be heard, and the magic of listening, to be authentically heard and seen in the struggle that is the human experience.
Yeah, I think what's standing out for me is when you just said on and incessant. And I think if we're going on and it's incessant, I think that doesn't really lead to good. There are people who will go on for hours if you let them and complain.
And we were talking about in the last episode about really having that core group of people that, is in our hula hoop, and I have high expectations for people in my hula hoop. I really want them to be able to say, Sean, you've been complaining about this, but you're not moving your feet in any direction. This is just going on and on. I mean, that's so valuable. Not a therapist, not, but really a good friend to be able to, and then I have to also be a good friend and hear that in loving kindness. And, instead of dismissing them as if they're trying to control me or whatever that is. And so having that good people in my hula hoop that when I start complaining, they're A, there to listen to me, but B, also to be the guardrails around whether or not I'm complaining too much.
Yeah, because complaining can be paralyzing. It can simply keep people stuck.
Well, it's a pattern too. It ultimately can be a character defect because that's who you are. Here comes Karen, right? We all know who Karen is. Karen wants to see the assistant manager all the time, and it doesn't matter if her steak is cold or if the buggy, the forklift just hit her seeing eye dog. It is. I just got a visual. Wait, it can be something so minute. It's just the Karen.
So but it's interesting what you just said, because it brings me back to what we just started to talk about with the last episode of like the law of attraction, and I think chronic complainers, kind of like just the Karen example, can lead to kind of more things to complain about. You know what I mean? So it's like if we're complaining about our steak or we're complaining about this, there's a real possibility we're going to just attract more things not going our way. So, I just noticed just this past week, I was moving into probably more on and on incessant complaining about my health with my husband. And I'm like, this isn't serving. This isn't like, I've got to focus on what's going right rather than all this stuff going wrong. And when I shared it with him, he got tearful because, I think he was sick of it. He was kind of like holding the space for me, but it was getting exhausting at the same time. So that's when I'm like, okay, I'm going to start shifting my language, and I'm going to start talking about my wellness and health journey in a different way.
Well, I'm glad that you are at a place where you can do that because, when there was a point in which you were just suffering all the time.
Yeah.
And there was a point in which I was just suffering all the time. And there was no room at all for having and being able to make a conscious decision to shift and talk about my health journey. My husband, when I talk with him about what's going on with me, I stopped because gratefully I'm at a place where I don't have to complain anymore. But when I say something about it, he goes, "Oh, I thought everything was fine because you're not complaining anymore."
Yes.
And it's like, no, everything's not fine. Or when I was in intense pain, I would be in so much pain and crying inside.
Yeah.
And I would express it. And then 10 minutes later, he'd say, "It's supposed to be a sunny day tomorrow. Isn't that nice?" And I look over and I say, "I'm still in pain.
Yeah.
I'm still in pain," And so it's a razor's edge.
Truly.
They really want to know, and yet you don't want to complain all the time. It doesn't really serve, except it kind of does.
It's weird because it's like if you look at both of us, we both look very healthy.
Yeah.
So you would never make up the stories about like what's going on with us. And so it can easily be overlooked. And I remember I had someone say to me recently, "You should join us for pickleball." And I'm like, and this is somebody close to me, and it wasn't like negative. It's just like, I'm like, they have no idea, like that there's no way I could do that.
Right. And then I don't have any idea, and you out there don't have any idea. You who are listening don't have any idea of the people you're engaging and what's going on in their lives. And, my Aunt Martha, God rest her soul.
And we love Aunt Martha. I love
Aunt
how she makes
Martha.
her spirit into our
Well,
episodes.
she's, that's her Sacred Heart Jesus behind her head there. And Aunt Martha, she was a saint. I swear to God, the closest thing to a saint I've ever met in this lifetime, and I think I ever will. And she had all kinds of ailments, but she never complained. And I remember one time I pulled Aunt Martha aside and I asked her, "Why don't you complain?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Sean, people don't want to hear about my troubles. They have their own." And she's right. I mean, she's absolutely right. And yet, I was just talking to my sister the other day about it too. I said, we didn't have good examples in our life about how to complain.
Yeah, like how do you so my dad, he got Parkinson's in his early 40s. And
Whoa.
and he died when he was 64, and he looked like he was over 100 years old when he passed. And as I've navigated my initiation and journey, I've thought about him a lot. The man never complained, ever. But is that a positive? You know what I mean? Like he never like melted down and said, this is horrific. Because he had the worst kind you could get. Like, this is awful. This is not how I wanted. Because I have melted down in front of my family and my kids. They have seen me at my most vulnerable, at my worst. But at least I've been honest. But it's been tricky because that was not modeled for me. And then I've got some shame about it too. Like, why am I over here complaining or, having a moment of misery? Because he never complained, and he had it so much worse.
Yeah, and that's what my sister and I were saying. What horrible examples we had around complainers. That
almost like the martyrs, right?
They just never did, and so I guess maybe that's where I feel bad also when I'm complaining, and wondering how you feel when you're complaining out there, and what's your motives, and intentions around it. I remember, this is a sad story, but I was on watching this fellow on Facebook, and I didn't really know him very well. And it's a story that I was making up around all his complaining, because he was just incessantly complaining for the whole time I've ever saw him on Facebook.
Yeah.
He was just complaining and complaining. And all of a sudden he, had this illness. And so I made up a story around, he's just looking for attention. And then he died. And I was like, are you kidding me, Sean?
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe how insensitive this fella was reaching out in the only way he could. And you were just saying that he was just complaining and seeking attention.
Yeah.
Does that make me a horrible person?
No, not at all. Because it's a little bit like the boy who cries wolf, right? And I think social media can kind of trick us, at the same time. But it's tricky because, like I was saying, Sean and I both look very healthy. And I think I'm getting more in tune with how people feel like with autoimmune, because they look healthy. So people, I'm embarrassed to say, there was a situation at a place I used to work at long ago, and I kind of thought this person was making up, like using a cane. Because I'm like, well, they look really healthy, and sometimes they have the cane and sometimes they don't have the cane. And then as, I have steeped myself in learning about autoimmune, like a lot of people feel that way about people who have autoimmune, these mystery illnesses. Yeah, like Justin Bieber being one of them. I don't know if you heard.
No, I don't know anything about Justin Bieber.
Neither do I, except through Facebook. But anyway, he tragically has Lyme disease.
No, you're talking about Justin Timberlake.
Oh, is it Justin Timberlake?
Yes.
I get them mixed up.
Justin
Are you
Timberlake.
sure?
Yes,
Okay.
I did see that report on pure.
But all these people
Justin.
were so worried, like they were making up all these stories. So he had to kind of come out.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was thinking about HIPAA and is that anybody else's business? And maybe it's out there to serve. But, at the same time, people always complain that we put all of the good on social media. Like, I'm in Atlanta at this best party, and I just got this new car, and I just got this, and look at my vacation, and look at all this, and nobody puts the real life stuff on there.
Yeah.
And then here's some guys putting the real life stuff on there, and I'm thinking he's faking it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's tricky. It's tricky kind of reading in between the lines of complaining and going back to this idea of when does it serve us? But for me, I felt like I had in my head moved into complaining a lot more than verbalizing, but verbalizing enough to my husband where, he seemed a bit taxed legitimately by the stuff, that I was complaining about, that I'm like, I'm ready for a reset. So I'm going to just.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling well enough to know that.
Yeah. And you said that earlier, and you're right. Because it's like, I think when we're in it and we're steeped in it.
Some of you out there who are listening are in it right now.
Yeah.
And it's all you can think about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all that's happening. And it's all enveloping. And I get it.
Yeah.
And Allison gets it. And Allison, I witnessed you in it. And
Oh,
I'm glad
yeah.
to see you not in it anymore.
Yeah.
And you witnessed me in it.
Yes.
And I'm glad not to be in it. I remember crying while standing in the outdoor shower when the dragonfly flew by. And I was sobbing because I couldn't even muster the care that there it was. And a dragonfly flying by for me is deep meaning. It's about transformation and the veil between this and what's next and all of that. And I was in so much pain I couldn't even care, and so I was just weeping because I couldn't care about the dragonfly. And I know some of you out there are going through some really hard things and can't just focus on the good stuff. You got to be right where you are, and that's the and we both have named it the initiation. And I hope for you, Allison, and I hope for myself that this is just a step toward the next thing.
Yeah.
And I hope for you who are listening, if you're going through it, that you're seeking out the lessons in it, and that you're finding people that can hear you. Because even when we're complaining, it's important that we're talking to the right people. I will say, and have said in previous episodes and in future, you can't cast your the pearls before swine. The Bible says it, but I use it all the time because the pain that you're going through, if you're complaining about something that's really important to you, and you cast that in front of a Facebook friend, or you cast it just out on social media, if it can't be heard, it makes the pain even worse.
Yeah, and you're really like, I'm paying attention to your word heard, because I think people who are chronically complaining, it's like they're just on some level not being heard, and they're trying to get attention in a certain kind of way. And that's where it is so important to try to get help from whether it's a helpful friend or a therapist or...
I remember like 5 years ago, I was in Atlanta, and I just was so lonely. I was COVID, just around COVID times, pre-COVID, just post-COVID, whatever it was. But I remember I was feeling so disconnected, and I just wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
I just wanted a hug.
Yes.
I just wanted someone that's all. I would have paid someone to hug me.
Yeah.
And that Jeff won't hug me, but just to be heard in a way that my husband of 25 years doesn't hear me, but just to say, I see you. That's who I want to be in my own life for others. And I went to this ashram in Atlanta, and I didn't know anything about it except I had never done that before, and I was going to try it, and I was going to go in there. I was suffering so. I walked in there broken that day, needing to be heard, hoping I could find something there that I hadn't found before, and walked in there in that way. And they just wanted to throw a yoga mat at me, and they threw their yoga schedule at me on what yoga class I should take and all of that. And I just felt, again, this casting pearls before swine, even in an ashram, who couldn't hear the depth of the sorrow that I was experiencing from this disconnection that COVID had brought me. So I really wanted, that's what I want to be for people, is to be able to hear that. And so, previous episode, I said, I want to work with you as much as you want to work with me, meaning when we're working together, I want to work with you.
Sure.
Because I want to be there in an authentic way. It's really important. It's not about your money. It's about really being there with you in it so that we can get through it together.
Yeah.
And that's super important.
Yeah.
And identifying those people in your life who can hear it.
Yeah. And does complaining isolate us in some ways? I think chronic complaining, as we're talking out loud, it's like somebody's not feeling heard, but nobody wants to be around a chronic complainer. And that's what's difficult. I know about depression is sometimes I use the metaphor of a skunk. It's like when we're depressed, energetically, we're kind of stinky. People don't want to be around the depressed person. They don't want to be around the complainer. But really, ultimately, these people are in a lot of pain. And like you said, they just need to have a voice and to feel heard and to be seen and acknowledged. And how do we break through, oh my God, so-and-so is complaining. I think you had mentioned earlier, it's what is it that you really need right now?
Yeah.
How can I be of service? How can I help you? Would it serve you for the next hour event, or would it serve you best to focus on solutions?
Yeah, and the next breath too, I think checking in with yourself around what it is that's what I do for myself. What am I complaining about? And then what can I do about it?
Yes.
Where is my power? I say that to my friends and to myself all the time. I was just in Atlanta for a friend's 60th birthday, and we were in some busy wine bar, and I hadn't seen this fella for about a year. And I pulled him aside and I said, "Tell me, oh my God, it's so nice to see you. Tell me one good thing that's happened to you this year." And he said, "I have been learning how to decipher what I have control over and what I don't have control over." And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
What a great
it's a
thing.
profound answer.
What a great thing to say. And in doing that, practicing that skill of what it is we have control over and what we don't have control over will limit our list of complaints. Because all I really have control over is what I see in the mirror or what is being reflected back at me. I don't have any control over the government. I did my vote. I'd vote in my elections. I cast that. If I feel compelled to move in any other way, then I do that. So, but where's my power? Where's my power? I don't have any power over someone else's actions, but I do have power over how I choose to engage with what's coming at me. And I don't have to allow that to disrupt my energy field.
Yeah. Although, like we were saying earlier, sometimes we go through these phases in our life where we're powerless. Like when you talked about like the dragonfly.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting with you outside your amazing labyrinth. And I was coming off a round of 9 months of steroids, 35, whatever milligrams or whatever it is. And I was deeply depressed because it really kind of messes with your head. So I think I was going through detox, withdrawal, but I'm like, I have no access to joy.
That was so helpful for me.
None. And
I know, but I'm so glad that
Yeah.
you expressed that on that day, because I had a subsequent experience where I didn't have access to joy, and I actually talked to you about it. And you said, do you remember when I felt that way? And I said it, and I said, yes. And you said, well, I have access to joy today.
Yeah.
And this will pass.
Yeah.
And again, that was such a beautiful gift. And one, you're in my hula hoop, Allison, and I can cast these pearls of, could you hold a hula hoop up?
There it is.
Not above your head,
Where?
around your waist. Could you do it? Could you move those hips?
That's right. I'm moving them, baby.
But I could cast that before you, and then you had that great response, which is this too shall pass, Sean.
Yeah, which is recent because, again, I caught myself in the thick of the complaining zone. And I was just had this moment like, and you're done. You're done. And like you said, it's like I now, which is great, have the capacity to choose differently.
Yeah. So what is the solution? That's what I was saying before. I was talking about where is your power.
Yeah.
So once we identify where our power is,
Yep.
then we can identify what the solution is. If we're trying to focus and complain about something we don't have any power over, guess what? There's no solution.
Yeah.
And so all you're doing is complaining.
It's almost like the solutions are there. We just don't have access to them. And so I feel like when we can I think we need to vent, and maybe it's an hour or 2 hours or 3 days. But like kind of the point I got to, I'm like, and it's enough because I haven't been able to access kind of the magic and the solutions, because I believe the solutions come from my spiritual family, and energetically, like the solutions can't come in when we're in that place of chronicity of complaints.
What's coming to mind is
Yeah.
when, guys, when you have a cold, right? And I'm so humbled by colds when I get them because I forget how awful they are. They're just terrible. And then you're laying in bed, right? And you've got the nightstand is covered with used tissues, and you've got the coughing, aching, sneezing, so you can rest medicine, whatever that's called.
Oh, NyQuil.
Yes, you got that on there, and you're swigging that. It's got diphenhydramine hydrochloride in there, so you swig it, and then you're out, and you wake up, and you got Sex in the City that's playing on repeat, And then you swig it again and you blow your nose again and whatever. And then there's just this moment that I think I'm hearing you saying where it's, you're done. Like, I'm done with the tissues. I'm done with the NyQuil. I'm done with this. I'm done with being sick. I'm going to, like Lazarus, going to rise up. I'm going to rise up out this bed. I'm going to get back to my life.
Yes.
You know? And what is that? That's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm still feeling probably like crap, but I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with the pills. I'm done with the drink. I'm done with and it's time to move on.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah. And even just this past week, like I made it to a 6 a.m. yoga class. And the teacher was like, "What, Allison, you're here?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I'm done. I'm done sleeping in. I'm done." So it's like I hit yoga every day this past week.
Yep.
Because I'm just kind of done. And it's felt great. But it also, I think, is a sign of healing.
Yeah. Well, again, you're at a place where you can focus on that. And so whatever you're going through out there, if you're at a place where you can't focus, just hang in there. Complain to the people that can hear you.
And sometimes you have to pay for it, and that's okay. But, seriously, it's okay to hire a therapist, hire a coach, talk to your pastor, your priest, your intuitive healer. Like, it's okay. Because I think sometimes it's so big that it's like we need a professional to hold the space for us.
Yeah. And remember that you're not alone. You're not alone. I mean, we're over here limping along, huh, Allison? Limping along with you. And as a friend says, and I've said before, life keeps lifing. We just keep moving our feet and doing the best we can to complain to people who can hear us, move our feet in directions that are solution-based and solution-oriented. There's something about also, I say to Jeff, thank you for hearing me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with what's going on. He says, of course, honey, you're not feeling well.
Yeah. There's also something about like asking for what we need. So it's like, hey, like with a friend in the hula hoop or a loved one, it's like, do you have a half hour? Because I do need to vent. And do you have the capacity to hear me at some point, this week? So it's asking, because some of us kind of like these models we're talking about, your Aunt Martha and my father of not complaining at all. I really wonder if sometimes, at least with my father, if that exacerbated his health, made it a lot worse.
Yeah, because it's like a pressure relief valve too. Sometimes
that's how I felt when we had our little complaints.
I did. It was so awesome. 1 hour
was.
of just nothing but back and forth.
Yes.
It was like, shh, okay, yeah, just like let it out.
And then this happened, and then that happened, and like, oh my God, and then this happened.
Right. Yeah, so again, if you're going through it out there, like we've been going through it here, gratefully, Allison and I are both on the other side of this place where we can consciously move into this place of manifestation, of owning, feeling better, moving in that direction, claiming feeling better, moving in that direction, and then driving that car in our life toward our purpose, our continued growth and purpose. Because when you're in it, we acknowledge you can't do it, and hang in there, and there will be a time and a place where you can begin to, and we're going to talk about this next week, manifest health in your life by small, subtle changes that you might be able to make. Claim it, own it, and drive it.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. Check in with us next week. And thanks for joining us this week. And we're sending you big hugs from here at the farm.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to Conjuring the Human Spirit. You can connect with us and even make plans to work one-on-one with Sean at McGuireLife.com and with Allison at viespritcoaching.com. That's VIEESPRIT coaching.com, or tap the links provided in the description of this episode. Until next time, remember, you're not alone.